Test on one day. India, England, Australia. What a player! What a player! What a player!
Welcome back, everybody, to Waadaplaya Concussion sub-series. The English cricket summer has officially started. New Zealand and England just concluded the first test match at Lord's. To talk about it today, we have Akash from India and then Sanjay Dubey, who managed to squeeze into Lord's for fifth day to watch the game. So welcome, guys. Sanjay, how was the experience to watch live cricket after a long time?
Yeah, Lord's is always very nice. It was my daughter's first time as well. She's only 3 years old. So she enjoyed the day. It was a very pleasant weather, all good atmosphere, good day out, good weather. So can't complain.
Very good, very good. I'm looking forward for some live cricket. It's been almost 2 years I haven't watched cricket on the ground. So hopefully the day will come soon. Okay, let's get back to the first test which just concluded between England and New Zealand. New Zealand batted first, 378. First inning scored. Dream debut of Conway, we will get to that. And then England 275, Rory Burns, like we predicted, dream form again. And then eventually New Zealand scored 169 for 6 in second innings, declaring with a 278 run target, if I'm not wrong, or 273 run target. England should have probably pushed for a win. Akash?
Frankly, I wasn't surprised that they didn't push for the win because they didn't have someone in their team who could, score briskly. Someone like a Stokes or a Butler or even a Bairstow for that matter. If you look at that complete lineup, everybody in there is a proper test match player, including Joe Root himself. So I frankly wasn't surprised, especially once Sibley got in there. Sibley is a kind of player, this is a day which is made for him. You just have to give a dead bat to each and every delivery, leave balls. That's the kind of day Sibley likes to play. And it was his day. So I was not surprised that they didn't go for the target.
Okay. And Sanjay, is it intent or New Zealand bowling extremely well for England not pushing forward?
I think if England had lost 2-3 wickets and then everyone's just trying to bat the day out, it would have been different. But I know pitch was a bit up and down, but at least trying to get singles here and there because it was less than 4 runs an over. And, we've seen what intent can do with a few of the amazing run chases we've had recently. In Test cricket. So I was really surprised considering this is a weekend England lineup. There's not much pressure on them. This is not an Ashes because that's what they care about more or less. This is not the England-India series. So this was a perfect way they could have tried. Even if they had lost the game, I don't think there would have been much criticism at all. So yeah, especially being at the ground, I thought Sibley and Burns, it was difficult to watch them on TV. Not much easier on the ground as well. So yeah, it was a bit surprising.
What a dream debut for Devon Conway, who we did not predict that he'll be in the playing 11 when we did the preview on the first test. And it's not 50, it's not 100, a double century on debut. What a performance. And there are some pictures floating around that he was born on 8 July, same as Sourav Ganguly, left-handed batsman, made international debut against England in June, scored a century. This is double for Devon. But ODI debut cap of 84 for both Sourav and Devon Conway.
There's one more common thing, if I'm not wrong here. I am a Ganguly fan. And I have been following Conway from the last 2 years, in the way he's played well in domestic. He's been waiting in the wings. He's got his opportunities in the limited over game and he's taken it with both hands. And to get a debut at Lord's and to actually capitalize on it just shows how brilliant a player he is. He's been doing really well in the last couple of years. If you look at his averages, even across the formats, even in domestic, it's 50 plus in the last couple of years. So I think this was pretty much due. But to get a double on debut against a home country like England speaks, marvel about him.
And there was an amazing stat I read that 10% of the centuries at Lord's has been from South African-born players playing for another country, not South Africa. So clearly there's something which everyone else is benefiting from, especially England and to an extent New Zealand as well now. Playing in South Africa, not getting enough chances and then making that huge move to New Zealand. So full credit to him because he's been in the news because people have been posting articles from like 10 years ago when someone said that if in the next 2 years he doesn't play for South Africa, I would be surprised and all that. But yeah, the moment of that innings was when he got to his 100 with that one-legged six. That is amazing. So I really enjoyed his batting, and full credit. I think he'll also get a IPL contract very soon. I don't know whether he's interested or not, but I'm sure he'll get it at some point.
I did not know that he was South African origin until I read the post during the test match. And you mentioned that one-legged six. Conway also gave a presser, or he told the media that when the ball was in the air, Neil Wagner was on the other side, and he said, "Go ball, go," or something like that, which shows the team spirit too. So yeah, it is pleasing to see a non-marquee player making the headline. It is always good to get new players on board. So hopefully he capitalizes. I think Kane Williamson also sounded very pleased in the press conference. Excellent. So from England perspective, again, batting seems okay. I think they were rusty, or they were probably treading waters very carefully. But Rory Burns, he continues the dream form. I think sixth 50-plus score in first-class cricket. He continues the dream form from counties. We said that during the preview. Reactions to him, I think he's settling in nicely after a disastrous India tour.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in India, the conditions are completely different. Facing Ashwin and Jadeja is not a child's game. So obviously he was at sea. But once he was back from injury into domestic cricket, he was in the top 10, even though he had not played, all the games in county. He had scored 500 plus runs, 650s, 100. He was just continuing the form into this particular series. Even the bowling attack, if you look at New Zealand, they sorely missed Gould. A left arm seamer taking the ball away, taking it back into, Burns would have been a little difficult initially. But I think he played them well. So he played both Southee and Wagner pretty well. Credit to him. But it will be interesting to see how it pans out against India, because Indian bowling attack is going to be completely different in upcoming series. So let's hope that his form is going to be the way it is from England's side at least.
And Rory Burns also, he found a second gear, which I thought he never had when he was batting with the tail. Suddenly he started smashing sixes and whatnot. I think it was his first six in however many runs he scored in Test cricket. I think when he slog sweeps one of the bowlers. So absolutely brilliant batting from him. Even today he looked very good. It is difficult for England because criticized that this was a draw, but yes, we lost one day to bad weather, and this is the third Test match in a row in England that has been drawn, because last couple of Test matches last year in Southampton, I think they were drawn as well. So I think this has happened first time in like 30-40 years that 3 Test matches in a row in England have been drawn. So yeah, it is great signs for England, and ominous signs for second Test match and India as well in future.
One thing to note though, in England first innings, if you take off Rory Burns, there was no contributions from anybody outside of Joe Root, who played his typical 42-run innings. Another hot topic which is coming out of this first Test match is Ollie Robinson, who played well in the first innings batting, I think 42 odd. And then from a bowling point of view, he took 7 wickets in the game. But guess what? He's making headlines for a variety of reasons. Sanjay?
Yeah, so firstly, he should have got a 5-wicket haul. I think Broad dropped a sitter, and Broad had a terrible game apart from that 1 wicket he took after, I don't know, however many overs. I think England Cricket Board has been caught off guard with all the tweets he had done years and years ago. Personally, I think he was only 18-19 years back then, but the repercussions from this game is that potentially he may be dropped for the next game. But he had a great debut, keeping everything aside off the field. He looks a brilliant prospect for England. So looking forward to seeing more of him in future.
We had discussed this in the preview as well about Ollie Robinson, that he's a potential debutant, and he had a history of a good county championship this year. 30 odd wickets in 5 matches, again not playing all the matches. Still, he's got this ability to get a wicket whenever the ball is thrown to him, and that's what he showed in this particular Test match as well. His batting is a plus point for England at so lower down the order, but his bowling seems to have come leaps and bounds. So hopefully this racism incident doesn't affect his dream debut.
Look, racism is unacceptable in any sport and any profession these days, and social media is social media. Though this was when he was young, unfortunately, he has to pay the price. And I think England needing to set an example. I don't see that as a reason for not picking Ollie Robinson is harsh or something like that. Unfortunately, these days with media and everything happening, you got to be very watchful, very careful, and these things are bound to be career-ending. And hopefully, Ollie Robinson will learn and move on. Though he did apologize about what he had done. New Zealand, in the meanwhile, there are a couple of key conversations which I'm interested to get both of your thoughts on. First is Tim Southee. His performance in the Test match has been outstanding. He's been a warrior for New Zealand for a long, long time. Second, looking through to the World Test Championship final versus India, the bowling of New Zealand seems pretty effective. Neil Wagner, I'm very, very impressed with the way he's been bowling this Test match. First things first, Shrikant Gattu from our Facebook group had asked this question, and I thought it is interesting. Do New Zealand have a upper hand because they are already playing the Duke ball? They are already in England. They are playing New Zealand-England Test matches. So do they have an upper hand, or is it a level playing field versus India going into WTC final?
I think it's just a luck of the draw, basically, because the England New Zealand series was planned a couple of years ago, or even before that. It would be part of their future tours program, and by then England already had the hosting rights for the World Test Championship final. It could have easily been England playing the World Test Championship final, and then you would have said, oh, it's a home advantage for them. It's just that Australia didn't qualify. If they had a better over rate back in the India series, then they would have made it. Then it would have been a level playing field. Who knows? I mean, it's difficult because you have to plan, you have to get the grounds ready. And if you are a home team, then so be it. You just have to, manage. And then there's basically no wrongdoing. New Zealand have an advantage, definitely. But the flip side is that India will be able to see through New Zealand for these two Test matches. They've got nothing else to do, and New Zealand potentially could have injuries. They could have burnouts because 3 Test matches in 3 weeks, 4 weeks is not easy.
Yeah, if you look at the advantage perspective, obviously New Zealand, having played 2 matches in the conditions, will have a slight advantage ahead of the World Test Championship final. But consider that this is an international, international teams going against each other. Advantage, no advantage, all this doesn't count. It's like a final. It's like a proper final for any team, whether it was Australia, India, whether it's New Zealand, India. What you do on those 5 days is all that matters. If India was so worried about not having an advantage, they could have requested for a warm-up match ahead of the World Test Championship final, which didn't happen. So I'm pretty comfortable that they are in the right space of mind, and hopefully they will come out all guns blazing in the WTC final.
I must also say that looking at New Zealand's bowling and England's bowling, I'd much rather have preferred playing England, because New Zealand's bowling, everyone looked on form. Jamieson, Wagner, Southee, when Bolt comes in, the only weakness I see is their spin department, but who knows, if it turns, that might be a challenge as well. But England, they looked okay. Stuart Broad and James Anderson, I don't know whether they should be playing in combination, because it doesn't seem to be clicking. Markwood seems to be the one who makes the impact. Every time I think that he should be getting the new ball, 8-10 overs, others are bowling, and when Markwood comes in, he makes things happen. So a bit surprised with tactics as well.
Yeah, exciting times. Looking forward for the World Test Championship final, especially with vulnerability of Virat Kohli with the left-hand fast bowlers. Should be a good contest coming up. Looking at the next second Test preview, any changes in the playing 11s you expect for England? What else need to be adjusted? I think Ollie Robinson probably will be dropped. So Ben Stokes, on the commentary they were mentioning that he's starting to warm up a little bit. So I think he'll be ready for India Test matches. I don't know about New Zealand. But second Test preview?
I think that probably Craig Overton might get a chance out here, because Ollie Robinson most likely will be dropped. But if you look at Broad's performance as well, I don't think he's going to last one more test. So probably Broad and Ollie Robinson will make way for Craig Overton and probably Jack Leach. That will be the changes for England. From a New Zealand perspective, I think I would definitely want to see Daryl Mitchell brought in place of Grandholm, Dougie Bracewell in place of Sanjay. because Santa is not capable of getting that quality turn or a good line length out there for in these England conditions. So probably Kane Williamson can do what Joe Root, which Joe Root does at the moment. So why not go with Nagib Reswell, who's got good all-round ability as well.
The rumors are, the talks are that potentially they may also think of dropping Saudi, and Trent Bolt seems to be around. They may give him a go directly so that everyone's got some overs under their belt after being under quarantine and whatnot. And Colin de Grandhomme, to be honest, after seeing some really boring batting by England openers, his hairstyle, I think only for that he should play, or maybe drop completely out of the squad. That was the highlight of the test match. I think every time on the field, it's so visible. Even the commentators would be able to recognize him from far away. He had a brilliant hairstyle.
Got it. And from Jack Leach, I think Joe Root was asked this question in the post-match. Leaving out Jack Leach, was that a tough decision? And do you think will he stand a chance next test match with Ollie Robinson being dropped?
I think he'll definitely play. I can't see them going another test match with 4 fast bowlers and Joe Root having to bowl all those overs. Because even if this match went into 5th day, there was a lot of turn potentially for Jack Leach to be exploited. So he could easily hold one end up. I know he's not of similar quality to a lot of the other spinners around the world, and definitely not as bad as he would be probably at par at Santner. So I see both the teams still going ahead with one spinner, and hopefully if it goes to 4th, 5th day, they'll be able to make some impact.
Very good. Next game is at Edgbaston and starts next Thursday.
Yeah, so I think the crowd expected is 18,000. The reason being that this is being designated as a trial event, where before the 21st of June, where things are supposedly going to open up completely. So if you see in Lords, we only had 6,500. But this game you'll have more people because they're going to try out having more crowd around and see how it works out before things open up completely later in the month.
Positive times. Again, we cannot forget what is happening in India. We do appreciate and support all the frontline workers. Please continue to practice the social distancing and masks. As you're seeing, in other countries, in UK is an example. If we do follow protocols, if we take care of ourselves, things will look bright. Things will open up in India. That's the silver lining. I am taking this away that things are starting to open up and live cricket is back again. Hopefully we'll have positive things and happy things to talk about. Like Sanjay, this morning he took the daughter to watch cricket game. What else can you ask for when you have things open up, right? So on that happy and a smiling note, thank you Akash and Sanjay for previewing and reviewing the first test match. And we will bring you all the cricketing action as the summer picks up and the season picks up. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Suman. Thanks, Akash.
Thank you, guys.